I'm Ollie Bliss, and I've created this series called Soft Lads. Soft Lads came out of a conversation with a guy who's accused me of being a soft lad, and I found it really funny, but I also found it really interesting in terms of how we label each other. And I wanted to explore these notions of what masculinity looks like in contemporary society right now. And so I started looking on Instagram, and I decided that I wanted to try and create a particular focus. And so I started looking at tattoos, guys wearing tattoos in particular, because I wanted to see how that kind of stereotype of hardness can be portrayed. So I was looking at facial tattoos and body tattoos, and came off with reams of these young athletic men who were posing on Instagram, showing their stories and conveying a very curated part of their life and putting it out into the world. And I knew that I wanted to create a kind of sample of these different guys from across the globe, to create a debut series of portraits. I've been exploring textiles for a long time now, and I wanted to try and push where I could take tapestry in terms of creating images of portraits. And this is me really trying out for the first time in terms of producing larger scale pieces. And so I hope this series gives a sample of portraits which reflects how we advertise and promote ourselves online, but by having it in something which is textile based, takes us back to some of our roots in terms of older means of craft making and artist production, and gives that nod to history and heritage. Historically, tapestries were only created for the nobles and notorious war figures and things like that, whereas those type of heroes have been taken away. Instead, now we really celebrate and promote celebrity, and what are those values that we have now that are that create these profile of people. It's all very transactional, it's click based, it's all likes and comments, and I wanted to create something which was more permanent from this culture, which is very short term and fragile in terms of it being digitally based. Once I created the pieces, I knew that I wanted to work with the word association, because I had been on a course myself just before lockdown began, and I found the experience really rewarding in terms of being able to explore thoughts and feelings for myself, in terms of being able to unpack experiences with a group of people. And there was something really cathartic and rewarding about doing that in a group, in a safe environment, which had been created by Holly. And I knew that tapestries and visual arts works can sometimes be looked at for less than 30 seconds and then they move on. And I knew that I had lots of devices within these tapestries which are about symbolism, are about putting different patterns together through these different images, because it's all tattoo based. These are stories, these narratives which have been literally woven together, and I needed the viewer to take time and to slow down and to look at the work in order to understand where it's coming from. These pieces individually have a focus, but they'd speak to each other across the series, and doing these workshops with the word association gave a group of people a chance to go through that process of actually slowing down, looking at the artwork and trying to unlock what some of those symbolisms mean, but completely on their terms. And the poems which have come from those pieces have been collated into an anthology.
The man standing before you had travelled a hard journey, the miles worn down on him, but the clues were there, if one was to but look. The deep sadness of the murky brown eyes that spoke of tragedy, too numerous to name. The tattoos plastered across alabaster skin, as an artist fills a canvas. The archaic ship and statement both spoke of no direction. A rowboat without a rudder, drifting down the river of life. The woman who meant so much to him, spelt out in the lustful reds used to embellish her onto skin. Surely this was a courtship for the ages. The flowers, raining down around him, spelt something else out entirely. The clues within their hues, the white lilies as pristine as a wedding dress, the hydrangea, the baby blue, oozing femininity, marrying up oh so perfectly with the fiery roses splashed across his chest above his heart.
Artist activist, a hero, uplifting the downtrodden, railing against adversity, protecting the most vulnerable among us. Could that be me? Hope bubbles in my chest, fighting against clenching fear. I want to stand up. I know what I stand for. I am standing in my own way. I can't help because I can't create because I am helping. I am creating. There is no one way to be artist activist.
Myself with love. My golden waves of hair, my green hazel-flecked eyes, my cupid bow lips, my round sweeping curves, my graceful air, my soft hands, my commanding voice, my compassion, my patience, my commitment to healing, my resourcefulness, my tenacity, my intelligence, my sense of humour. I love myself, completely, wholly, unendingly. Me. Do I see me or what others see? I have an idea of myself. What do others think? I project my fears. Do you think I'm a mess? Out of control? Unable to cope? Do you see what I want you to see? Someone going through a tough time, trying their best, pushing on, looking for rest. I don't know who I want to be seen as. Can't I just be seen as me?
Zuckerfelli. Soft and masculine, strong and feminine, science and nature, myths and bloods, together and separate, the highs and the lows, all interwoven, peace and progress.
He is soft under the mask, beneath the hardcore vibe. There's gentleness, terrified of jibes. He's a work of art, a canvas almost full. I could explore for hours. His eyes pursue the pull. All his validation comes from heart eyes and fire, unashamedly different, but his confidence is on a high wire. He worries when he posts what you'll really think. You might think he's big and hard, but his ego shrinks and shrinks. The ink on his face says, look at me, but no. It's what he wants you to see. You'll only see the show. This one's modern day pirate. You look so unhappy. Are you missing your queen? A modern day pirate living a life in between. She's there proud, painted on your arm, your chance to see her face, to help you feel calm. How did you lose her? How did you come to such grief? On board your Bonnie Anne, a loss beyond belief. Did it test your faith, losing her that day? So much sorrow on your face, no more pirate play. Yet you still live borderless, sailing day and night. Do you hope that you'll find her under the moonlight?
Hardcore vibes. Your piercing, defiant gaze. I steal a glance on the subway, then quickly look away. I find you later on Instagram, the international language of emojis. Flames, heart-eyed smileys. You're hot. Commodification of your body. Do you draw comfort from these reactions? Do they mean anything to you at all? Have you found your tribe, or are you still looking?
Pen and ink picture. Folded arms protect my chest. A large tattoo, my painted vest. Blue kind eyes meet your gaze. I dare you to be fazed by my awesome appearance. Silently at pointed fingers, I musically scream. My appearance strikes some as extreme. The swooping bird of prey, a powerful symbol. Meet me at dusk and you will tremble from terror or desire. My decorations are not a rite of passage or a pledge of love, but my heart is beating fiercely from above. Am I a symbol of aggression, or are you suffering from repression? I like how I look, this is my armour. When I walk through the streets, I am a performer. My facade, my mask, my outside persona disguises the fact that I really am a loner.
I am Holly Winter-Hughes and I'm the founding director of the Word Association. We're a community interest company with a focus on helping marginalised communities and isolated individuals to get their stories told and their voices heard. We run free writing workshops and we create anthologies of the participants' work. We find that writing is a really lovely way to help people to express themselves, reframe their experiences and their own stories. So we work with a lot of different groups and we use very gentle writing prompts to get them to unlock thoughts and things that are going on with them and unload their emotions. But it's also a really lovely way to build confidence and to connect with other people, to express themselves, feel like they belong to a group. It's been a real pleasure working with Ollie and creating these workshops. It's been wonderful to see the artwork up close, having the same starting point and the same visuals to work from. The different work that they've created has been quite fascinating. So we're really excited to see how the anthology will come together and to have all their work in one place. It's going to be brilliant.
And the cruel passing of time. Eyelashes going grey, again a clue to passing time, the skin above my eyes sadly sagging, heavy, above friendly eyes between which sits my pock-marked nose, a clue to my acrid youth. Below my nose a friendly smile, visible through short-cut facial hair, trimmed but not overly neat. All seen through reading glasses that sit on the bridge of my nose, without which I struggle to see myself clearly, which might be just as well. I like your smile and happy disposition, your kind eyes and olive skin. The signs of age comfort me. You have experienced life, its ups and downs, joys and pleasures, success and failures. I love your facial hair, not dishevelled, managed with care, and I love the warmth you emanate. You're interested in me, and I like that.
Pilgrim. from the imagined perspective of the partner of the person in the embroidery. You've come this far. Your body maps the pain and joy on one skin in many strokes, pricked by choice to display the love, the hate, the metaphors, the battle, the scars. But these are only skin deep. The instant fix you display to the world is a superficial snapshot of the turmoil you navigate. Your eyes tell a deeper story. Your lids are heavy. The fight is dying. You've had enough for now. These maverick moves, the price of piracy, have plundered your life force. You thought it would be fun. You thought it would make you happy. Come and float with me. We can be the jellyfish, the flowers of the ocean, blooming, consuming, cruising, ready for the strike. I feel your soft tentacles splaying round my limbs. I am not the enemy. No need for the sting. We don't need a tattoo of poison. You've posed with your brave face, day after day, shot after shot, to show the world your warrior moves. Your best you, living your best life. Treasured moments? Well, take a bite on that golden doubloon and check it doesn't give way under pressure. Time to jump ship and suck the kraken amongst the roses, babe. No one's watching. Take a rest from the journey. Your life is mapped on your skin, and you know how painful those marks were in the making. Xochipilli, towering giant, head cocked in knowing disdain, the world grasped in wide stretched fingers to be crushed or released at will. You cast your gaze at the rest of us. You know more than we do about why you take this pose. Your aura through the lens is bubbled with strands of your life. The clues pricked meticulously across your skin, the answers written in the planets, in the earth, in the symbols you know hold the key to your enhanced love of life. That wise old owl hovers over your shoulder, checking on the big cats, the images of power woven through the very wrappings of your taut frame. You have carved and sculpted your body to carve and sculpt a way of life, to be sold to the world in exchange for a myth. You will draw us in and we'll pay for your hedonism. You can look, but you can't touch. Keep off the prickly garden, the cactus guards the way.
That present themselves as who they are and not what they look like. When you are unkept and disheveled, you are still a garden of life, of love, worth tending to when you can, despite your aging, wavering appearance.
I see you struggle. How can I not? It's so meticulously onto a giant sheet, the flag, the flowers, pentagram, the ship, the map, it's all there. But I don't care. I'm sorry. You remind me too much of creepy men at pop punk concerts praying with young girls. It's nothing personal. I'm proud of you and your journey, but I can't follow you further. This tapestry, your flag hoisted high, it's enough. I'll take a fleeting look at you as you sail by and contemplate no further. Bon voyage.
Do my veins run through with wine? Dionysus blessed my form with intoxicated madness. Is my blood red, blue, pink, white? My skin pulses with a desire to be free. This form is restrictive. I wish to be as Loki, ever shifting, casting confusion on memory and senses. Give me my blood in inscrutable rainbow. Cast off this form and reduce me to blood.
Worrying at me, my mind is filled with love and poetry. I look at you and you call to me. You reek of home and safety, acceptance, the greatest gift ever given. I do not need love to shine on the ugliest parts of me, but acceptance truly enlivens me. I rely on you, confide in you, your warm embrace. Who else is there? Who else is there? Your embrace, it is warm, hot, burning me. It encompasses my life with love. All things return to love, the inescapable black hole. I bleed myself for love. I give you everything I am. All goes to the worship of my goddess, the only one who keeps me afloat. This addictive acceptance, give me more of it, let me roil your acceptance, your love. Kill me in your embrace, I may know nothing of anything but love. Do not look at me, do not worry about me. My mind is filled with love and poetry. Am I me? Spiraling particles are pulled in by stars' gravity. Sisyphus rolls his boulder as I contemplate gravity. Birds flock together and stars fall in line as my medical charts are filled in line by line. Gravity pulls me in, it holds me together by force. Am I a star or merely particles pulled together by gravity? Mirrors reflect me, but not me. My image is not myself, is it? So many things lay under my reflection. Should I release them, cut them out of me, ink them on my skin with glass? Let my blood tell its story.
Like an anchor, pulling me from within, like two people beneath my skin. Like an anchor, taking control of my breath, each pace, every step. Like an anchor, choosing the wrong path to explore, but I know I don't need this no more. Like an anchor, separating my mind from words of hatred so unkind. Like an anchor, just making me blind. The words of evil I don't want to find. Like an anchor, I'm misunderstood. Listen to me please if you would. Like an anchor, I will explain to thee. I'll listen to your words, even if you don't agree. Like an anchor, I'll be there for each one and all. No matter who you are, I just want to know more. Like an anchor, express to me your true self. I won't judge you, I want to help. Like an anchor, accept me for me, and together we can show what a family's meant to be. Built on love, compromise, you can be loved no matter what's inside. Be free, don't you hide.
I'm not just a drunken sailor, sailing through life. I've lost my family, I've lost my wife. I'm sailing through life, I don't know where, to maybe fit in, find someone strong enough to care. I didn't choose this path, but somehow this path I found. Won't blame no one but myself. Sometimes I'm quiet, I will not speak.
Thoughts run through my head, I'm feeling weak. I'm not just a drunken sailor, don't judge me. I have scars on my body for all to see. I have images, photos of things I hold close. People who I lost when I got on the boat. But if you listened hard enough, you'll find a love that is the sweetest kind. I won't do wrong to you if you're not wrong to me. I've learnt my lesson, sailed many a sea. So please, when you see a bottle in my hand, don't torture me, try to understand. This life I find before me, the steps have been so hard. The ones that understand me, I felt were propped up at the bar. Or is this so? Is this true? I don't know. If you listen, you may see. This journey isn't what I want it to be. Grief struck her in a sound of mess. I suppose I looked upon the bottle as a friend, I guess. Be there many a time, made me feel better, helped me unwind. So I'm not just a drunken sailor. I am me, just haunted by the past, you see.
These workshops have been designed in a way to help any level of writer produce work, which is a really good thing. And I think that to develop creative writing, you need to feel comfortable and you need to feel that you're in a safe space. And these workshops have been designed with that in mind. And a really useful way to create writing is to use a prompt. And one of my favourite prompts is to use an image and create ekphrasis. And these tapestries are the perfect mode for that. So writing in response to these tapestries is a good way to develop people who are nervous perhaps and don't know where to start because they could focus on a small part of the tapestry or just how it makes them feel as a whole, or step back and think about it in the context of some of the issues raised within it to do with masculinity, social media, etc. So I think these workshops are good for all types of writers, beginners and more experienced. Something that I find really interesting about the tapestries is the way that they allow a discussion around artist and muse. And that's really interesting to me within my own research, because whether it is a classical painting or whether it's a photograph or these tapestries, or if it's an image that you find on social media, there's a relationship between the viewer of the image and the person creating the image, which is a relationship that allows objectification because it prompts a response. Perhaps you're inspired by the image to produce artwork in response to it, whether that's poetry or another painting or an image, whatever it is. But the person placing the image out there is allowing that. So they're almost inviting themselves to be objectified, but it's a permissive objectification because they're inviting it. It's not voyeuristic because they're asking to be objectified. And whether that's because they want to be desired or they want to be popular and have likes on social media, whether it helps them to promote their business for whatever reason. But at the heart of it is an old-fashioned relationship between artist and their muse. And that in some ways, although some people on the internet aren't creating artworks from the images they're looking at, there is a kind of frisson between them and the person inspiring them that becomes a muse for them. So I think the tapestries explore this in a really interesting way. It's really exciting for the University of Worcester to be involved in this project, and I'm personally excited to write a critical essay about the tapestries and the text and image relationship, which will be part of the anthology. But for me, more delight is found in watching the students take part, and they're mixing with members of the public and writers of all abilities, and it allows them actually to grow confident because they do have some experience at writing workshops, and they've kind of been trained to respond to images or to prompts. And so watching them feel confident and then they're reading their work out, I can see them growing as writers, and they're getting that vital experience that takes them to the next step of being professional writers, perhaps running their own workshops and inspiring them that they can do this in future. So for the University of Worcester Creative Writing course, this is an amazing project to be part of.
Open Mind, Closed Thoughts by Lou Woodman. I see insecurities he's trying to hide, ink in his skin, but pain in his eyes. In modern society, he cannot be weak, can't be himself, stays up with no sleep. First one to help, but will not receive the emotions he's feeling, locked up with no key. If I present myself this way, they will not approach. Anxiety crippling a lump in my throat. One day it may change, I hope. But until then, death do us part, I shall cope. This disguise isn't me, I want to feel free. Emotions are burdens, discomfort, disease. I've tried to make myself numb, impenetrable defense. People can't get close and try to pretend. Can't tell me what's wrong. Can't tell me what's right. Tell me what they care, but I always think twice. Believe you, you say, but I can't. It's too much. So much can go wrong. I can't open up. It's hard, this mind of mine. Hours of thinking, time never seems to compromise. I'll keep it together now until I explode. The realization that I am so alone.
Hello everyone, my name is Rachel and this is my poem today. Excuse me, where is soft lads? The mad laugh. No soft lads here, only hard lads here. Hard lads. The Phil Mitchells and Ross Kemps. Hard-hearted, mean-fisted. Hands with sovereign rings, calloused fingers. Made rough from hard labour. Labourers. Sweat that drips down, softening the lads' hard faces. In labour, women don't sweat, they glisten. A sheen of sweat on their soft cheeks and faces, umbilical cord as strong as the rope that fishermen clutch in the darkest of storms. Pull, pull, pull the net. Come on, lads. Push, push, push. I can almost see the head. The fish slips out of the net, slimy, pliable, fragile bones, gasping for breath. The pink interior exposes the soft flesh, turned white till it flakes away and dissolves on your tongue like sea foam. Bone stuck in your throat. Be a man, swallow the cough, hold back the tears. You already removed this fishwife's head, her soft bones, now the only part that fights back against the hard, crushing tunnel of your throat.
A picture can paint 1,000 words. If that's the case, my picture would say power, strength, masculine, edgy, hardcore vibes. In this moment, I am a deity, a hero to the masses. A figure that people aspire to be like. But is that all how I am perceived? Society is a fickle thing, a flash of fleeting moments where trends and what is it constantly changes. In this case, hardcore vibes. A social standard envisioned by society that defines a man as being macho and red-blooded. A real manly man that creates a strong aura of raw strength and sexual energy. But is nothing more than a mask, a facade, a simulacrum that hides your true identity. When people see me, all they see is the persona at face value. They see the anti-freedom imagery. They see the ties to organised crime. They see the stone-cold complexion. In other words, hardcore vibes. Each ego-driven picture is showered with praise from my fans. From praise to amazement, respect to adoration. A stream of glorified icons that only help to fuel my desire for hero worship. But how long will it last? Am I experiencing my first minute of fame? Or am I already at my 14th minute? Is this the dawn of a new beginning? Or is it the beginning of the end? The end of the line for my hardcore vibes. I mentioned at the start if this is how I am perceived. After all, we are merely represented as a series of pixels on a screen. Is this me, the real me? Nothing could be further from the truth. The real me would be perceived as an introvert, quiet, meek, a mere husk of my alternative persona, an image that would never be worthy of a hero's worship, and for that I needed a change. But time is not a generous mistress. With each day, I drive to maintain my proclaimed persona, a desire that pushes me harder and harder to appease my fickle followers. An addiction that only serves to divert attention away from me to my embellished me. And that me has one impression, hardcore vibes. Every ounce of energy, every inflated comment or remark, every fabricated photo, every little relapse into my virtual addiction only seeks to abandon what makes me, me, the real me, in favour of this other half of me, a more idealised and captivating version of me, yet much more darker, much more artificial representation of me. Am I even real anymore, or is my persona the real me? Are any of the comments even the work of genuine feelings of adoration? Or are they all just the work of other fake simulacrums? I don't care. I have an image to maintain. Hardcore vibes. I never asked for any of this. All I wanted was to be heard and recognised for who I am. But with each relapse, recognition and adoration is given not to the real me, but to the me that I want people to see. It's given to what I am, not who I am. But I can't back out now. I can't afford to be alone anymore. Now that I have found my place, a place that admires my hardcore vibes. They say a picture paints 1,000 words. In that case, my simulacrum only paints a half of the whole person. A dark side of a double-headed coin. If you were to see the whole picture, what would you see? But who really cares about that? As people are only impressed by the face value. And my face value is already set in stone. Hardcore vibes.
So I'm Kathy Leather, I'm the General Manager of the Royal Porcelain Works. We've absolutely loved having Ollie here with all his beautiful art, tapestries, and bringing these wonderful people to our site. In particular, you know, he's used the Henry Sandon Hall. It's a beautiful building, it's like a little hidden secret. Not many people know it's here. It's this beautiful room that's kind of a blank canvas just for any kind of event, really. And to have all these lovely works of art displayed has just been fantastic for us. I looked at the when I heard about the tapestries, actually, you kind of have this image in your head of what tapestry is. And it's just like this amazing, incredible work. It's made me kind of want to get my sewing machine out. And not that I could. I think I could make some bunting, but these beautiful works of art are going to be something for people to really enjoy forever and a day. I've just been blown away, really, actually amazed at what someone who's got talent, you know, can create this amazing piece of art. And art doesn't always have to be painting or pottery. I've realised there's much more to it, because Ollie's brought a different dimension to art, really, to the site, and we've really enjoyed looking at it.
Minotaur. Like the Minotaur, a tortured soul, can a map guide me through the labyrinth of my life? Like a jellyfish, I transform myself, become who I've always been. I float away in one eternal dream.
Although I hold the world in my hand, it is on my back. My shoulders are strong from the weight they must carry, 100,000 likes worth of sex appeal to pay my rent. I am David, but I'm not in stone. I am the abused boy muse who posed for 1,000 hours so all my eyes might feast upon my body until I am long dead. They called his stone perfect, smooth and pale, but my non-white skin is sold by and for the pound. My sex is a drug which grew in womb soil. Now it's lab synthesized, 3 posts a week.
That man is not an island. The earth has settled and shifted for as long as he knows, with stumpy trees that reluctantly grow in soil spread deep and caked and toiled, over mines and caves, where trains tunnel and coil underneath the eye bags, past Kingston Quarter, through the valley of lips, calling at the chest, terminating at the laughter. Now the trees grow taller in red and white earth, where the cities spread wider and the people cheer louder, through dates and wars and shifting borders, standing strong in flats and estates, past gates and favelas. Even they do not know the land in full, who conquered him before, and what riches he stole, what queens and kings have sat on his throne. And although he hosts crowds, he is terribly alone. When winds tore the towns and quake shook the ground, the survivors fled or withered without a sound. But that is now history, and whilst he does not forget, he chases the future without a cloud of regret.
I feel like it's a tale of two sides, isn't it? There's a lot of positivity in there, but also a lot of busyness, which makes you feel quite anxious. Like there's a lot of chaos around him.
I feel the same as that. Do you? Really? Yes, there's so much going on, and the colours are really vibrant. It makes me feel anxious, to be honest.
I feel he's kept his gentleness and his hope by the look of his face, even though everything that's gone round him has been so chaotic.
Yeah.
That's what it made me feel.
Honestly, I kind of get like the opposite kind of vibe from like the anxiety and like the busyness. That looks so vibrant and so colourful, and like he's in the centre and he's sort of like, yeah, like, he's like calm and he's like, yeah. It sort of makes me feel, it makes me feel happy. It's like very colourful and like joyful sort of.
I just
had that word in my head, joyful,
Yeah.
definitely.
Uplifting, I thought, yeah.
I think for me, I feel almost like I'm looking at maybe a memorial. So when I thought about like the Christ-like figure, I almost feel like he's passed away or died somehow, and we're looking at his epitaph, like we're looking at his so say he died, and that's the art that would go up and be like, rest in peace, and he's looking up at the sky, and everything around him is celebrating his life, but I almost feel as if sadness, because he's not looking at us, he's looking up, as if maybe he's no longer part of this world.
Like, both in this one and then I think it was that one, because they have like an eye on the back of the hand, blue alien, or the Illuminati eye, and I'm just sort of like, it was originally called the Eye of Providence, like the one on the American bill is the Eye of Providence, and it's supposed to be that like God is watching over you, it's like a protective symbol basically. But then in modern times it has all of these connotations of like surveillance states and like, oh, the bad people in the background. And it's sort of very interesting to me how that symbol has sort of changed. And so it's just interesting because like it's like people look at these, like we can look at these symbols now and take one meaning, but then in like 20 years people look at them again and they're like all different things.
I think the statement, nothing lasts forever, is quite contradictory when you think that tattoos do.
Virility, body positivity, gym-toned beauty, selfie culture, body modification, duality, cock, self-mirroring and double self-mirroring, body perspective image, recognition and acceptance, journey, self-affirming, fabrication, body fetish, self-body fetish, something over time, thirst and attention, reiteration. Am I saying that correctly? Reiteration? Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to know. Tree of life, man, machine, robotic, logical. Technology makes him immortal, cannot be erased, blown away like Buddha or torn down like a statue. Superman pose, to build and make you feel confident. Our bodies are our own creations. Show off your hard work. Status, to masculine beauty or form, divinity in image. Thank you for those. Is there any comments from some of those things that have come back?
I saw him as the image of, I don't know if it was one individual man or one man with four friends around him. I was looking at it in that sense where everyone's taking this selfie in the mirror, but the actual image itself looks like one body and 5 heads, which made me think of Hindu mythology, and Ravana being a multi-headed demon. Here we have a man who's showing himself in all his masculinity, sort of traditional masculinity, and how somehow it doesn't feel demonic, it just feels like an expression from one individual. And for me, this was a sort of a new age, sort of modern, canonical print. So instead of Michelangelo's David, we have this, you know, this almost divine brown being.
And he's very much presenting himself as his own artist. He doesn't belong to an artist, he is an artist and the art himself.
Whereas he's presenting himself as this is who I am. And the artificial limb, if that's what it is it's not that it's not relevant, it's just that it's such an integral part of him that you don't focus on it as some sort of defect or something other. But I don't want to focus too much on that, because I don't think that's how he's presenting it. It's just a natural part of him, so it's almost like we shouldn't even be questioning it. So that's why I didn't mention it.
I find it really interesting actually, because one of my initial responses when I first looked at it actually was it brought into my mind that idea of that they had around the Paralympics of superhuman.
that it's sort of almost like over and above, I put self-affirming in one of the things that I put, and I think that's what he's doing. He's sort of showing himself off in a very positive way.
It makes me kind of think about, I guess, sort of like bodily autonomy and kind of having kind of control of your body, or kind of making your body kind of feel like your own, or kind of feel really kind of strong, like kind of got the tattoos, and then obviously the kind of like muscular aspect, to the kind of toning of different aspects, so it's sort of like making your body, just sort of like changing your body in different ways to make it feel how you want it.
I admire, well, it started off as being quite envious of him, having that kind of control over his body and being able to kind of be so determined to sculpture himself in this way.
Okay.
Yeah, having that kind of like strength to
go to the gym all the
go to the
time.
gym every day, and like I imagine he eats like, raw eggs and protein shakes and so at first, I don't know, I had to really challenge myself in terms of being quite judgmental of him. Is he the kind of person that judges my body, or looks at me like I'm weak because I don't have that kind of determination, or, because my body doesn't look strong and I'm not strong mentally or emotionally. But yeah, at this stage I'm envious of him. Being this close to it, also I'm looking at the actual textile itself and the texture, and it reminds me of like rugs that my grandma used to make and have in the house, of like made from old t-shirts and stuff that she used to weave together, so that's quite nostalgic for me.
I found it challenging as well when I first saw it. I think, for similar reasons, just in terms of wanting to be more consistent and just not knowing that I'm not naturally that way. And then also like the selfie element of it, and some of my interpretations of some of it is just, I find it frustrating sometimes, where it feels like people just aren't in the moment, and unless it's being documented and shared online, then it's not really happening, or you're not really enjoying yourself unless like you're telling everyone about it. I find that a bit frustrating, but then at the same time also I like the idea of it being used as a way of sharing who you see yourself as, or having ownership of that, or having a way of engaging with that outside of just being in your head, like having a way of like capturing it and putting it out there in a way. So there's a duality to it, and I kind of interpreted that with the skulls and the butterflies as well, just like the light and the shade of this experience in a way. Like there's just the positive and the uplifting side of just, going on this kind of journey with your body and documenting it and sharing it. And then there's also kind of a dark side of that, of feeling to some degree reliant on approval of others, or reliant on other people to see you for you to feel valid within yourself. It's quite complicated, I think. It's hard to sum up, because I appreciate it, and at the same time I find it frustrating. And
where's the frustration from?
Just because I'm not naturally that way inclined, but I wonder if there's parts of me that could benefit from taking more pictures of myself, and could just go on that kind of journey as well. But then I'm just like, is it really me? And then at the same time, because of what I do, my line of work, it's like I need to have an online presence for it just has an impact and stuff, but it's just not my natural thing. So it's a bit of a frustration there as well. Because I make films and stuff, it's like there is a link, because if people don't see you, and if you don't have that public presence, then I guess the industry favours people who do have a public presence as opposed to people who don't. So personally and professionally, I feel like I should be engaging more
more, but I just naturally don't.
Something that sort of struck me, you've got this sort of contrast between sort of symbolism that's very mechanistic. You've got robots, you've got the sort of logic circuit in the top left there, you know, very, very predetermined, sort of one thing happens, the outcome's always the same, and then you've got this obviously very free-spirited individual, so there's a contrast between those two sides of it. And then it sort of struck me that this, I might be reading far too much into this, but you've got this sort of organic tree shape at the bottom right, which if you sort of flip it on its side and straighten the lines out, it looks a bit like the logic gates thing at the top left, and I'm wondering if that's a coincidence.
In none of the other works the phone is visible. It's the only one that has the phone in. All of the others we can, if we weren't told that they are Instagram photographs, we could just assume they are portraits that were kind of composed by, we don't know who took the photograph original, like how it was made, we just thought of them as portrait, but this one has the phone in, multiply that phone, so it kind of creates the sense of journey and time passing and a kind of sense of this is a repetitive practice for that person, so they do it continuously and it's similar at all the times. It's the same pose, it's the same grasp of the hand with the phone. It's just the other part of the body moves, so the arm moves. It's only like one arm moves and sometimes face, but even face doesn't really move. It's still. So I think that's what kind of also what frustrates me in social media. Generally saying it's the moment in time that doesn't have any before or after, and yet it's so like telling like, oh, you're having fun now because you took it. Snap, or you're actually doing work because you have a story on your Instagram, right? Because otherwise you're not doing work, otherwise you're not really, otherwise you're being told you don't really exist. Which is kind of this reaffirmation of self-existence, to kind of say to oneself, oh, I'm still here, I'm still here, I'm still here, and I'm progressing. And I think that's the kind of notion of, I always find it frustrating when we think of progress as a kind of growing line, like going this way. I think progress doesn't happen that way, it happens that way.
This idea of not being able to destroy something that you put out there really intrigued me, and the idea of death, and then the butterflies is transformative, going through different stages of life, and this is them, so it's about his development. And then I sort of tied that back to the idea of his potential disability. I'm pretty sure it's an artificial limb, but I didn't want to focus on that as much. And this idea of him presenting himself, and I like the way that the skulls are near the artificial limb. This idea of he went through fire, he went through being touched by death, and he sort of transformed and he's still there, and he's still there. And he's representing that.
Our relationship with technology is evolving really rapidly and continuously, and that's why I did try to include an airport. That's relatively new technology for right now, but I'm sure it will become obviously as soon as something else will change it. And even the way we use mobile phones and the limited resource that we have, like this right now, it feels like it reflects what's going on with the way our relationship with technology is. But if you compare this to like in terms of how we used to drive by horse and cart, and now we are driving in vehicles and they're now becoming electronic, like what these bits of technology will change, and this will speak of a particular period in time as well.
Even the specifics of actually how the back of that particular type of phone looks is very much of today, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because because my iPhone's not that new, so it doesn't. The back of it doesn't look like that, because that's more modern.
Yeah, that's very true actually. Yeah. He does have a good phone.
On the one side, you have phones that everyone looks down at, creating hooks in their back. So evolutionary sort of defects are being sort of attributed to the way we interact with technology. And on the other hand, he has an artificial limb. So technology is also helping him develop. So it's the idea of technology as being the new medium that sort of pushes forward humanity. And that really means a lot to me, because through technology, we're learning more. If you give a child an iPad, it doesn't matter what continent they're at, they'll be able to learn it with a few basic skills. You'll teach them, and then they have access to, the entire wealth of human knowledge. So this idea of technology versus man doesn't work for me. It's very much a case of technology molds man, but man uses technology. So it's like Prometheus and fire. Technology is the new fire. It's going to revolutionize human history from this point onwards. I just think that's amazing.
I really love the element of like almost disarray to it. Like there's so much thought and so much process that goes into it, but it's also so surreal and there's so much like detail. And I wonder, like, when you're doing something like this, you spent so much time in it. When do you know that I am done?
I think part of it is because I do, as a wall piece that someone lives with or looks at or just is in front of them, I just want them to go, that's nice. But then if they want to take time and go into it and start going, oh, why are there souls there? Why is there butterflies there? And then I hope it's the type of thing that people can just keep on discovering with, so that you can have like just the kind of fun thing that has been the launch night last night was when people were coming in and they're like, these are nice paintings, and then they kind of actually look and they're like, oh, it's thread, it's tapestry, and then they start really actually wanting to look at it more. And that there's something quite satisfying that I've made it a medium or made a raven that has given that kind of, oh, it isn't just a painting. And it makes them want to look into it more. I hope this makes people want to pause and look.
It's that moment when you catch your reflection, bathroom mirror, car window, just for a split second you see someone different. The reflection doesn't register, you see a total stranger staring back, think to look behind you, and in that heartbreaking second realize it's you. I don't take photos, adorn myself like artwork on a wall, no tapestry of my majesty, it feels all too fragile. This body, reflections feel like trickery, trespass, betrayal. I wrestle with wanting to love my body and feeling like it belongs to somebody else. Searching social media for photos of men with flat chests and hairy legs, dreaming of feeling at home in a body. I dance with masculinity, treading past carefully to be called sir and mate and bro to avoid painful pronouncements of her as she or mom. I dance down dirty streets, busy shopping centres, this dance of survival, safety, security, and something often afforded to me by others and ripped away in a moment's notice. Masculinity does not feel like my own, like something I borrow or loan, wishing it to be a permanent fixture, and yet I wonder what type of masculinity I want to acquire. If it will be flowing, movable, or set like stone, will it be my own or what is put upon me by others? Can I be soft and strong? Do I have to sacrifice the softness to be read as strong? Will I be able to take photos of my hairy legs, soft tummy and chest? At what point will this body feel like my own? Catching reflection in car mirror and thinking it's me, not a reflection that feels alien.
You are your own creation, designed by heaven's hand, made by your knowing mother, and looking like my older brother, like the boy I played with in the sand, the son of a future gleaming nation. I imagine you like UFC and Muay Thai. Your tattoos are their own story, a well-traveled narrative.
stepped foot on every continent, looked up at every sky. Body on point and face with perfect trimmed beard. I aspire for the same look, but mine's a little bit more weird. You're a hard man, I know. I hope that's not pejorative.